Gihan in all this, it feels really unlikely he'd be a player again. Who's funding this massive operation? Let's get into it. If you're like us, you've been waiting for the Squid Game is coming back. It was huge. It's a global phenomenon. So today we're going to dive deep into what the latest buzz suggests for season 3. And our mission here is simple. Pull back the curtain, give you a quick but pretty comprehensive overview. We'll hit about 6 key areas that really point towards a much bigger, more complex show this time around. And I think what's really exciting about digging into this isn't just, guessing plot points. It's more about understanding the strategic moves they're making, the deeper themes, moving past just, new season to really get in what they're building. So let's start with maybe the most obvious change, the sheer scale of it all. Season 1, remember, was very much focused on South Korea, but now the whispers are that Season 3 is going properly international. Like, Squid Game isn't just one place's nightmare. It's everywhere. Different branches, maybe different countries. We might even meet organizers or VIPs from all over the world, hints at a massive network. And that ties directly, I think, to the resources they have now. Netflix definitely opened the wallet after Season 1 just blew up. So yeah, expect grander sets, more cinematic visuals. But the deeper thing here, that budget lets them shift the focus. It's not just about, say, Korean debt anymore. It becomes a bigger commentary. Global inequality, desperation that resonates everywhere broadens the critique. That totally makes sense. A bigger canvas for those themes. Okay, so what about the core of it? The games? And of course, the villain creator of Flying Donyak has apparently promised even more creative games, more dangerous, more elaborate, twisted children's games again. My feeling is it won't just be about the physical danger though. It's gonna be ramped up psychological intensity, More of those awful moral choices, complex team stuff, betrayals, things that really mess with your head, maybe even more than Season 1 did. And Gihan in all this, it feels really unlikely he'd be a player again. Like, it wouldn't make much sense. No, his path looks more like, determination. He wants to take the whole thing down. So less player, maybe more like a spy, trying to infiltrate, find the VIPs, expose the whole rotten system, maybe finding allies, other survivors, or people on the inside. Which naturally leads to, who are these game makers? If Gahan's digging, what's he gonna find? I think we can expect way more on the front man, in HO and those mysterious VIPs. Who's pulling the strings globally? Who's funding this massive operation? How do they even recruit people? And crucially, maybe we'll finally get into the origins. Why these games? Is there some twisted moral code or philosophy behind it all? That's fascinating because it forces us to think, why would any society let this happen or even justify it? Exactly. And delving into that lore, that history, it connects right back to the characters. Gideon's journey, his trauma, his guilt, that's all going to fuel his investigation, I bet. Seeing how his past drives him forward will be key. And there's a good chance we'll revisit others. Right. Survivors, maybe some staff members, get more on the front man's own story. Plus, we should probably expect new players, new heartbreaking stories, people from totally different places, different backgrounds. That human element, that desperation, that's what hooked us all. So, just to wrap up our deep dive thoughts on Squid Game Season 3 real quick, we're looking at a story going global, making its points about inequality even bigger. Games that are probably even more intense, psychologically. Gihan on a mission, less player, more investigator. And finally, getting some real answers about who's behind it all and maybe even why they think it's justified. Which leaves us with a question maybe for you to think about. If Squid Game really is global, with different branches, each maybe having its own slightly different rules or justifications reflecting local culture. What does that say? Does it imply something universal about human desperation? Say, or does it show how different societies might rationalize and the cruelty in their own unique ways?